You want to start talking wrestling? Ladies and gentlemen, we're back with our 3-hour podcast extravaganza, and we finally, after much chagrin and technical issues and everything like that, we finally have our guests on the line. We have Doug Robar and JP Sims from Twin City Wrestling. Doug and JP, how are you guys doing?
Pretty good. I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. No worries. Thank you guys for calling in. So we wanted to talk to you guys, obviously, about you guys have a couple of shows coming up with Twin City Wrestling. Shows, I believe, on the 15th and the 16th. 15th is in Dartmouth and 16th is in Bridgewater. Did you guys want to talk a little bit about those shows and what can we expect from those shows?
To be honest with you, I mean, I don't do a lot of work with them in terms of the shows that go on up in Dartmouth and the city and whatnot.
Okay.
But I can tell you right now that the Bridgewater show down here, which I'm working very closely with, I believe will probably have the highest attendance of any independent show to ever be run here in Bridgewater. It's at the historic big exhibition grounds there on Exhibition Drive in Bridgewater. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, definitely a stacked show. I know the TCW tag team titles are going to be defended there. R&R Express is facing off with the Last Action Heroes. And the main event, of course, we got the champion, Dazzling Dick Durning, defending against Julius Fantana. And that'll definitely be a match to really steal the show.
Absolutely. Now, I noticed on Twitter the other day, I follow superstar Aaron Matthews on Twitter, and I saw he sent a tweet to the TCW Promotions Twitter page that kind of he seemed a little put off that a quote guy in a mask was the guy that was getting the title shot, as opposed to a guy who he said has performed in front of fans down here for 7 years. And I thought that was kind of an interesting little tweet there from Aaron Matthews.
Oh, that was when was that posted?
It was a couple of days ago.
Oh, that's interesting. I'll have to look into that. I don't check into my dirt sheets too much, but I do like Julius Fantana, and I think him and Dazzling Dick will have a great match. And yeah, I think the Bridgewater show is going to be the ultimate show. I really hope the Dartmouth one does well, and we're definitely going to do a lot of promoting to work on things and make sure it's a successful show. Absolutely,
for
I
sure.
can definitely guarantee Bridgewater is definitely going to be great.
Yeah. Have we confirmed where people can buy tickets for the Bridgewater show on the 16th?
Actually, it hasn't even been announced yet, but advance tickets will be available tomorrow. At Charlie's and Cleve's Sporting Goods.
Beautiful. That's great. So, same places that you could get them from last time. That's perfect. JP, do you have a match on that card at this point? Can you give us a little preview of what we should expect?
Yeah, I'll be there. I haven't been told who my opponent's going to be, but I can guarantee you, like always, I'm going to go there, and I'm going to go there and do it like I always do it.
And
it's going to be a great show.
Absolutely. I tell you. You're one of the few guys that I've seen around here, like in maritime promotions and everything like that. You're one of the few guys that I've seen around here that I've never seen have a bad match.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Now, I know you traded wins with Sexton Phoenix from the first couple of shows, but honestly, I have never seen you have a bad match at all. I'm sure you've had one at some point, but if you have, I've never seen it. And you are a prime example, absolutely, of the wrestling talent that's around here, and I just think your in-ring is just fantastic. So, whoever happens to be your opponent for those shows is in for a little bit of a handful.
Oh man, thanks. I definitely appreciate that compliment, and they definitely will be in for a handful. Every time I go there, I want to one-up myself, and that's what I plan on doing. It's been a while since we've done a big show in Bridgewater in terms of the X show. It's been last summer since I've been there.
Right.
And a lot's changed since last summer, so it's if you ain't seen nothing yet, man, let me tell you that.
Beautiful. And I actually wanted to talk to you about some of the things that have changed since last summer. Primarily the place where you ply your craft, we'll put it that way. Of course, when you were here last summer, you were here with a different promotion. That was with UCW, where you were, of course, UCW's reigning heavyweight champion. And it was certainly a surprise to me when I showed up at the debut Twin City Wrestling show, and I heard and saw that you were going to be on the card. It was kind of a Lex Luger showing up on the inaugural episode of Nitro kind of thing, where like that was kind of insane. So can you kind of
told me he was going to be there, and I was surprised to see him.
There we go.
Yeah, you questioned it on Facebook. Yeah.
But like can you kind of talk us through sort of the thought process of sort of making that swap in your career from UCW to Twin City?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, basically what happened was I got word that Twin City was running shows, and at first I wasn't sure like if they were actually going to happen or not. I got wind of it a couple times, and then I saw that who was working the shows, and I saw that they were running one in Bridgewater, and Bridgewater's a place I love wrestling in. And basically what happened was I saw who was working the shows, and I saw where they were, and I said, why not? And me and Cyril were talking for a bit, and we put a deal together, and we finalized it. And basically it was one of those things where whether UCW was running shows on a regular or not, I still would have done the shows for TCW. But basically, UCW hasn't run a show since August 11th of 2012 until April 27th that just passed. That's a long time. That's 9 months.
That is.
So that's 9 months of no effort and no respect to put a show on for anybody. Like fans were always writing on the website, like not always, but there was always people asking like, when are you going to come back here? And it's like there's nothing. Like nothing was given, no effort was put in. Just like we don't know yet, whatever. And it's like like for TCW to run shows and run 2 shows on their first time around, it was like, well, there's two matches for me and 2 more chances for me to get in the ring and get better.
Absolutely. And
do what I want to do. Yeah. And also I went up for an ROH seminar about a month ago there in April.
Yeah, I meant to ask you about that too when I saw you at the show. I didn't get a chance. How did that go?
Oh, it went really well. We trained for a long time. The first day, I think we were there about 11 hours training, and
wow.
We did a lot of work with promos and drills, and it was such a great learning experience. I learned so much from the guys. They're really nice guys, and broke stuff down to you really well, and made you feel comfortable learning it. And I know, I learned some stuff I'm going to work on, and a lot of things that motivate you to get better every time. And one of the things that really motivated us was that they said, get better, get all the experience you can, like get all the matches you can, get all the promo work you can, like get experience. And I saw that as a guaranteed amount of experience, and I was willing to do the shows at the end of the month for UCW. I planned on wrapping things up for a while with UCW because I'd been frustrated for a while there and just had it with that place and didn't want anything to do with it for a while now.
Right.
But I said I'll go through the summer, right, because I wanted to get the experience. And I said, I'll take shows there and I'll work with TCW, and I've been contacting other promoters for work and stuff. But then, he decided he was going to get mad about it and tell me I can't, I got to bring the belt because I worked a show for them. And I said, okay, whatever. And I said, yeah, well, when I see him face to face, we'll have a little, we'll talk about it and see where it goes. Well, a whole lot wasn't really mentioned, so I basically had to break it down and say, so what's going on, kind of thing. And said, here's your belt, pretty much. And I said, well, yeah, here's your belt. I'm never going to wrestle for you again. And I don't know how serious people took it at first, but I was serious, and I went on Rope to Rope Radio and everything else, and we had a good talk about that. And basically, respect's a big thing too, and that's something you don't get in UCW. And to get respect on my first 2 shows with TCW, get more respect there, than I've gotten on UCW shows. It says something right there. So,
well, yeah, and I saw the Facebook post. I believe I think it was on Facebook, not on Twitter. But yeah, I saw the Facebook post where you had kind of outlined the sort of the same thing that this is what's going on, and I won't work with UCW again, and everything like that. And I'm a child of the dirt sheets, so sometimes it's kind of hard to know what to take seriously and what not to.
Yeah.
But just kind of the tone the tone that was in that message, I think I kind of took very seriously, and I know how militant UCW has gotten in terms of in terms of sharing talent. And I kind of figured that whatever you had said on there in those terms was probably legit.
Oh, yeah, and absolutely on Facebook, it looks completely legit to anybody. But to other people, it would be more like, well, is it happening? Because, you know, a lot of times with UCW, there's always a bunch of ego tripping going on. So it's more of, if you do this, I'm not going to let you work for me again, you know? And it was one of those situations where it's like, okay, but you need to know that I'm not coming back, you know? Like, I'm not going to be another one of those guys that comes back after 3 or 4 shows or a year or whatnot. You're not going to bury me and then tell me I'm, you know, kind of thing. So that's why I posted it on my Facebook as well as the UCW website, because I'm really surprised I didn't get removed. Yeah. Usually as soon as they get negative feedback, they can't handle it. They go and they remove it and then they kick you out of the site.
Right.
So, but
I really want to put this out too, because last time when I was on here with Mark Maverick there, I made a comment, and I actually talked to you about it, JP. You talked to me at the show about it, and you understood what I was saying, but I had said about how you'd been champion for 2 years, and it didn't really make it, you know, it wasn't really anything, because not any fault of your own, though, right?
No, well, no. It's I was champion for a year and 9 months, and, you know, the bottom line is that a year and 9 months, and I never was given a microphone. I was never handed. Man, like, you know, I had a story, the steady storyline that I had with the Wildman Inc. was the last one I had, and then it just got to a point where it was no longer even a storyline. It was just, I was just the guy that was there to take a beating, you know? Like,
but I was there with you and Chuck and Luke, and we went cutting promos. You were interviewed by Luke for this promo. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And he drove us around. We went to a gym, and I think you tried cutting the promo at the gym first or whatever. And he was feeding you these lines.
Oh, God.
Horrendous.
Yeah,
terrible.
like these lines that these are lines that somebody would have said, like, no, honestly, like, no disrespect at all, but these are comments that would have been, that people would have said like 40 years ago. You know, like, you don't get down on your hands and knees and say, please, everybody, you know, I need you guys to let, you know, that's not the style that people want to see. And but most importantly, that's not my style. And I don't go out there. You're not going to get, not only are you not going to get over, but the fans are not going to buy you when they know what you're doing is funny. That is not me anywhere. You know, it doesn't matter if I put on a pair of ring gear. For me to sit there, that's not the JP Sims that fans cheer for. So why would I do that, you know?
Right.
So it's like they're trying to, like, you know, it's ruining me if I'm going out there and I'm asking for all of this. Like, it's like what got me over wasn't me doing that. It was me doing the things I was doing that got me popular. It wasn't being a little cheesy white meat babyface. You know, that's not in anymore. It's gone. Like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
If John Cena has taught wrestling fans anything, it's the white meat babyface just not. It's not working anymore. And
no, it doesn't. Exactly.
Man can't sell you, right?
What's that?
Vince McMahon can't sell you.
No, exactly. And just even the concept of, like, being interviewed in, like, sort of a worked shoot style, but it's not a worked shoot that you yourself work. Like, you're getting fed lines from somebody else. It's just not. 2011, 2012, 2013 doesn't particularly translate with the audience now.
Well, I think with promos, like, I think, like, when we're talking here, like, when somebody gives you, like, somebody can shoot you, like, ideas, and, like, that's perfect. Like, there's always ways to learn like that. But the thing is when you're getting fed lines that just don't fit your personality and they don't fit your character, and they're just things that, you know, if you say it, it's going to sound like you're reading it off paper. Why would you kill your own self and ruin something that's not, if you know it's not going to sound good? It's like, okay, I respect what you're saying, but I don't think this is how I should be talking. I think if we add this and this will make it better, kind of thing, right? But it was like, you were never given an opinion around there. Nothing you said ever mattered around there. Something was thrown at you, and it was to the point where you're just like, okay, all right, you know, like, and that's the point I was at for the last, you know, year. It was just, okay, because I knew there was never a suggestion I could give that was ever going to make a difference. So I was just like, okay, whatever.
Wow.
No, and on more than one occasion, I would forward Chuck an idea, and he would say at the time that it was absolute shit. Doesn't, you know, a year later, don't I start saying, oh, yeah, that's a great idea now, Chuck, because it's your idea a year later, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. It's more or less just gets put to the side. If you have an opinion or an idea, it's just like, well, no, I'm doing this instead. but I already had a match for this guy, or I already had this. Like, it's always just another, like, no, and it got too frustrating for me, and I was ready to move on to other things, and that's what I'm going to do. And then the sky's the limit, and it's only going to get better from here.
Beautiful.
I'm curious, actually, because I don't think anybody's ever asked you this question in, like, an interview setting. But how did you feel back in November when that show was canceled, the one that was going to have Kevin Nash, Colossus?
That's actually a fantastic question.
Oh, man, I was pissed. Like, I can't even describe it. I was like, when the March first show was canceled, I was not surprised at all. I saw that coming a mile away. But the November one, like, I was really mad about that. Like, we're talking 4 months. You know, his last show to that point would have been August 11th, like I said, which it was 4 months almost. And it was like, okay, well, that's a long enough time for no show. But at least we know we got one coming up. So it's like, okay, everyone's training and getting ready, and everybody's sitting there taking time off from their jobs and everything else. Mm-hmm. They go do the show, and then you just get a friggin' half-assed message on text message or BlackBerry Messenger from somebody else telling you the show's canceled. I woke up to a message at like 10 in the morning saying show's canceled. Like, not even a full sentence, show's canceled, period. You know, like, not even any like proper grammar. And I was just like, really? You know,
nice.
Really? Yeah. You know, you couldn't even have said, hey, the show's canceled. You know, you didn't even have to put a proper sentence. So that pissed me off, and I was like, wow, you know, and I didn't even get a call from Chuck. Like, you know, he should be, it's his duty if a show gets canceled is to call the guys and tell us what happened and tell us why. Like, but he didn't even care enough to, so all he did was send somebody else, hey, you go tell those guys the show's canceled. That's so insulting, you know, like, we all worked, we all took time off, but it's not all of it, not only us, fans, that we're all going to go to that show, were pissed off. Because I saw people, and they told me that there was some fans that showed up there that didn't know it was canceled until they got to the door.
Oh, God.
And it was raining that day. I remember that day it was pouring rain that day. And I saw a couple people that told me they were specifically got caught in the rain, and they said they weren't too happy about it. And I remember I told them, well, there's a show coming up March 1st, and, you know, I figured I'd throw it out there, but I didn't think that I knew that it was going to be more of a, I don't know if I'm going to make it, because the last show I showed up for got canceled, and all it was a piece of paper written show's canceled or something like that.
Oh, God.
And I was just like, wow. And then when the March 1st show got canceled, I had it by then. I was like, wow, this is, you know, there's no one cares around here enough to run a show, clearly, you know. So TCW took the objective. They wanted to run shows. He wants to learn. He wants to do better. He wants to put on a show for the audience, which is what it's all about, not just cancel them because one WWE guy doesn't make it. That's not a reason to cancel your show when you got a bunch of other guys that want to go out there and wrestle, but they're also talented workers. You don't just cancel the show because one guy doesn't make it or can't make it. That's not how it works.
Right.
Like, if you can't book if you can't rely on your local talent, then you shouldn't be running shows at all. If the only thing you care about is the guys you bring in from somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want. Oh, go ahead, JP.
No, I was saying that's the way it is. I was wrapping her up. You go ahead, man.
No, I want to point out too how this whole thing got started in terms of with Chuck Martin having such a big issue, and JP also mentioned about how the Cyril really it's a different attitude. You know, he actually is taking people's opinions. He's working with it, and it's you know. The result is there. It's a good product. It's a very good product.
And I'm hoping that it stays good, and I'm hoping that he does well and things go up. You know, I'm hoping things go forward.
Yeah, even
as long
just
as he keeps on the right tracks, then he'll be good to
even just as kind of an aside to that, just kind of the difference between the two shows, because the one UCW show, the Summer Explosion 3 show that I went to, Chuck, aside from the point where he got in the ring, was not visible at that show. You know what I mean? Like, Chuck was kind of around, but he was kind of not. Whereas you look at somebody like Cyril, and Cyril at the Twin City show in Bridgewater was very visible. Like, you knew who Cyril was, and he was there, and he was talking to fans, and he was everything like that. And that's, again, it shows the level of involvement and the level of sort of dedication to the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely. You know, and I think that, you know, like, that's a good thing to have guys be visible. I don't remember. I can't say anything because I was in the back till I went out and wrestled. But I mean, like, so I can't I can't judge on that or talk about that. But I do know that at the TCW shows, I did notice that Cyril was visible, and he had the TCW hat and the TCW T-shirt on, which was good to show your product off and let people know who you are and let people know that this is me, this is my company, and I want you guys to, want this. So I did like that about Cyril, and I like that he's already got T-shirts and things are looking good. So I think it's gonna go up from here
for sure.
I mean, production in comparison, in my opinion, anyways, and this is just my opinion, TCW is already leaps and bounds in terms of production.
We'll look at it like this: TCW's first shows, and they've already got the projection screen above the curtain where we make our entrances, and that is something that UCW's never had in 4.5 years, and that's something that all promotions should have now. Like you put a projection screen up, and then you make videos, and that is how you keep storylines. That's how you put a character over. That's how you tell who somebody is. And that's something that Chuck should have had a long time ago for those form shows.
Oh, without question.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I saw that, I said, Jesus, yeah, like Doug said, Cyril's already doing things that UCW never did on their first year of doing shows, and Cyril's already ahead of that, and I like that. I thought that was awesome when I saw that we had, not only did we have like our theme songs, but we had a video above it, and that's what you want. That's how you get somebody over, and then you hear that, you hear the music, you know who it is, but then you look up, you turn the lights out, you put the screen up. That's what wrestling is, and fans like that kind of stuff. You can't just turn lights on and put somebody in a basketball court, and just set up a ring, and you got to add elements to it that the lights and all that stuff makes a big difference in wrestling. It's
exactly. And now we'll take a camera. We'll take a momentary aside now to mention that the person that's now going to be directly responsible for the music and the videos and everything coming up is our own Nick Stevenson, who's apparently now the Twin City Wrestling audio video bell ringer guy, according to Cyril.
Be careful, buddy.
Yeah, good for you, man. That's cool. So you're
Doug,
not going to get my music wrong, right?
Exactly.
I'll try not to.
All right, cool. All right, we're good then.
Doug, I wanted to mention. I just noticed this a couple of days ago. Actually, I guess it was Nick that first noticed it. Mentioned it to me. The TCW show that's going to be in Bridgewater at the Big X is actually on the same night as WWE's next pay-per-view.
It is indeed.
It is indeed. You're already going up against the big boys.
Go. Vince McMahon doesn't have a chance. No, it was actually planned that way, and it worked out really well. Because, and this actually, I can tie in my other story that I was going to say as well.
Oh, good. Perfect.
Going to actually loop this all around, so it's going to be relevant in a minute. Don't worry.
We never worry about relevancy on this show.
Last February, I began planning with Chuck Martin to do a show where it would take place on April 7th, and everybody would watch WWE WrestleMania for free afterwards.
Yes.
It was all going to, it was a nice little setup and everything. Chuck was all in. Now, come, I believe, around March 20th or so, I get on the phone with Chuck. I just wanted to confirm, send me the money so I can put the money down in the hall. Mm-hmm. He said, I can't confirm anything until March 30th. I'm thinking to myself, fuck, the show is April 7th. March, he's like, no, I got to get done this NWA thing, and then I can let you know. But before, it was all good to go, right? So I get frustrated around the 20th of March, and I get in touch with another promoter who, it isn't Cyril, but I had another promoter all lined up, and he wanted me to front the money, and it was just something I wasn't willing to do, so we backed out of that agreement. Mm-hmm. Now, during this time, a superstar who was on the UCW roster, who I don't think would want his name mentioned, told me, he said, go ahead and call this up. His name is Cyril, and he's thinking of starting a promotion. So I got on the phone with Cyril, and he had he had a good business plan and everything, but at the time he didn't have a ring, so I didn't know if I could take him overly seriously.
Okay.
So, because there's a lot of people who say they're going to go out and buy a ring and everything, right? And so, anyway, we couldn't get it all set up for WrestleMania because he didn't have the ring on time, and we had already lined up for the May 11th show, so we couldn't do anything for Extreme Rules. So then I was like, all right, well, let's do something with Payback, the next WWE pay-per-view. Mm-hmm. So that's why we got June 16th at the exhibition. Nice. So we could do it in Bridgewater offer them the WWE pay-per-view afterwards, which also hasn't been announced, so I hope I don't get any flack for saying that. That's the deal. You get to stay. I'm thinking that it's going to be for those 19 years and older, so they can go into the beer barn and watch it there.
Okay.
But there might be something set up in the main building where people under the age of 19 can watch it. I really haven't discussed those details yet.
Okay.
Now, yeah, it also turns out that June 16th is Father's Day, which I'm hoping will actually work out to our advantage, you know. Hopefully that works well together. But, so yeah, that's why it's on the same day as the WWE show.
Oh, well, that's really cool. That's excellent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Doug and JP, just one more time. The Dartmouth show, June the 15th. And that was at what venue one more time?
Shannon Park.
Yeah.
Shannon
Park Arena.
Shannon Park Arena. Beautiful. And we have the Bridgewater show, which is the next night on June the 16th. That is up at the Big X, the exhibition grounds. Tickets for that going to be on sale very soon. The advance tickets. Prices were $14 and $10.
That's correct.
That's correct. Right on. And again, for anybody that's listening, if you didn't get a chance to go out and see the first either one of the first two TCW shows, the shows were fantastic. The talent is really there. I was very, very surprised and impressed with the talent level that TCW brought forward. And apparently, and this is advertised on the posters there, you guys have quite a large and imposing talent that's going to be making his debut at those two shows. Can one of you kind of just speak for a second about this new guy that you're bringing in?
First thing I want to say is that it certainly isn't it is his TCW debut, but he's very well known around the Maritimes, Brody Steele. And he's actually just on the tour for that one night in Bridgewater. He's actually not going to be appearing at the Dartmouth show.
Oh, or is it? It's Bridgewater exclusive. All right.
Special, you know, just for the Bridgewater guy.
Exactly. So this, from what we've been told, this is a rather large individual.
6'8", 325.
Wow. Ooh. Yikes. 6'8", 325. Now I've never personally seen him work, but if he's 6'8" and 325, he's JP. Are you at all worried that he might be your opponent?
No, I'm not worried about it. No, it doesn't matter to me how big somebody is. You know me, I'm going to go there and wrestle and go there and entertain, most importantly, and put on a show. And I can put on a good show no matter how big the guy is I'm working.
Absolutely.
I think it's going to be awesome.
In my opinion, back in November, you should have been booked to face Colossus.
I think that would have been awesome. That would
yeah, absolutely. It would have
definitely been a big test. That would have been a big match. That would have been a big match, a big hype. And, it could have been great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool. And, we're looking forward to both of those shows. Obviously, Nick's going to be at both of them because he's working them. I may very well pop into the Dartmouth show if I get the opportunity, but I will absolutely be at the Bridgewater show. I cannot wait for it. And actually, one thing that I wanted to hit you guys with before I let you go, and this is sort of the next thing we're going to be talking about on the podcast. It's not directly related to Twin City, but I know obviously you're both big wrestling fans, so I'd be interested to get your input on it. About a week ago, I posed a question on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and everything like that and got a bunch of responses to it. If there was one thing that you would think that either professional wrestling as a whole or more specifically sort of WWE, if there was one thing that they could change in what they're currently doing that would make the product maybe appeal a little bit more to you personally, or just sort of professional wrestling in general, what do you think that one thing would be, that one sort of change that could be made in mainstream professional wrestling that you think would make it appeal more to you personally, just strictly as a fan?
I don't want to go ahead and give the obvious answer, that a lot of people give, but because I get where they're coming from when they do it, but I'm not a huge fan of the PG era, and I'm not a huge fan. Like, the alternative to watching a PG program is to watch TNA. No disrespect to TNA, but I'm just really not a fan of the product.
It's okay. We've disrespected TNA before. It's all right.
Maybe just boost that rating up a little bit, Maybe not go all the way to TVR, but make it a little less family-friendly, obviously. But, I mean, that's the only thing that really would make any difference to me. I still like, some of the stuff they do now. I like whenever, I don't want to sound like a mark here, but I like everything they've done with Brock Lesnar up to this point. I mean, since he's come back, all of his angles have been somewhat entertaining. The matches have been.
Well, one thing I will say about the whole PG era, it's like, yeah, a lot of people don't like the PG, and obviously they could be a little edgier. But the one thing I do like is that they don't do it a lot, which makes everybody want it more. And I think the fact that whenever they do have The Rock or John Cena or Triple H or CM Punk, like one of those guys actually go out there and do something edgy, something that's not PG, it really makes the audience go crazy. And I think that's a good thing. I think when you can not do it all the time, I think if they had it all the time, they wouldn't like it as much. And I almost think that that's the way the fans are. And if you work on it and you give it to them a little more, I think that would keep the product a lot better. That's just my opinion, though.
Fair enough.
I do like how it's not all the time. I think that's good to surprise every now and then.
Yeah, and actually, I can think of a perfect example of this was the internet wrestling community. Anyways, went nuts when CM Punk did that thing with the Undertaker's urn, where he poured the ashes out over him and like bathed himself in what was supposed to be Paul Bearer's ashes in the build up to their WrestleMania match. And everybody was just like, "Holy shit! I can't believe they just went there." And
exactly, I can't believe that happened, but it just did. Like one of those moments where you're like, "That was awesome."
I'm not trying to sound insensitive here, but isn't Paul Bearer's death like the best thing that could have happened to that storyline?
To be perfectly honest, from a creative standpoint, yes, and it's the great thing about that is that from what I understand about William Moody, Paul Bearer, he would have been so tickled pink that they were using his death as part of the wrestling angle, because that's just the kind of guy that he apparently was. So I think he would have been so happy that they were using that as part of the angle, and that pretty well everything that they did surrounding his death in the build up to that match, like Paul Heyman coming out dressed up like him, and everything that they did there, it shocked the audience, but it shocked them in such a good way that it really lends credence to what you guys were saying there, that they don't do it all the time, but when they do it, it gets a big reaction.
Exactly, and that was tremendous storyline. That was very good storytelling, definitely.
And I'm concerned about the storyline because Taker has been involved in so many, these last 2 years have been all epic WrestleMania matches for him, and I'm a huge fan. But I was really worried because they waited a really long time to start working on the angle.
Yep, exactly.
It didn't have a really intense build-up to it. I think Punk just won like a qualifying match to fight Taker or something like that.
Yeah, it was something like that.
And I mean, I was really concerned about it because I was like, well, I mean, it's a fantastic match if it's done right, but I don't see what they're going to friggin' work with here, But I mean, the Paul Bearer thing, hate to say it like this, but it did do wonders for that angle.
Oh, and so much so that I think people, even like people that aren't like completely cynical about professional wrestling, were just like, he didn't really die. Like, this is a work. This is part of the storyline. And when you get people that are actually legitimately thinking that,
Taker died. Everybody died last year.
Yeah.
You didn't read?
Yeah, John Cena and The Rock in a car accident or something.
They all died in sparring sessions and whatnot.
Yeah. One of the most prevalent rumors I always hear is John Cena broke the Undertaker's neck while training, and so like that seems to pop up every like 4 or 5 months.
I had a couple of friends that actually texted me that stuff, and I was just like, like really, like you really asked me that. If they actually did, you would know if something happened. Yeah, like you wouldn't just be reading it on the internet. Like, come on now.
Or be training together.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. They're not rookies. They Taker doesn't go around and fucking spar with Cena every other day.
No, exactly.
Exactly. No, that was pretty funny.
Doug Robar, JP Sims from Twin City Wrestling. We want to thank you guys very, very much for taking the time out to come on the podcast with us today. It was great to speak to both of you. Twin City Wrestling, June 15th in Dartmouth, June 16th in Bridgewater. Get your asses out to see that show, because Twin City Wrestling is, even though they've only had 2 shows, Twin City Wrestling, I believe very firmly, is the best wrestling product you'll get in this part of the country. And I want to thank you guys one more time very, very much for coming on with us.
Thank you for having me, man. It was good chatting with you.
Absolutely.
Can't wait to see you at the show there. It's going to be great.
For sure. No question. Thank you guys so much, and we will talk to you again soon.
Yeah, take care.
All right, see you guys. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Doug Robar and JP Sims from Twin City Wrestling. We were very, very pleased to be able to have them on the podcast with us, and that's kind of the lead-in for us to talk a little bit more about wrestling.